All right, y'all, let's dive into this first experiment for Coach Diaries. So, I had a mentee back in 2022, a mentee turned friend who I absolutely love. I hosted a doula training and she attended that doula training. She became a certified doula, and with my help, we partnered together. We served clients locally, and she has grown a really successful doula practice on the side of her full-time corporate career, right? So every year she's making five figures from her doula business. She's supporting about 10 to 12 families a year, and she has absolutely loved it, right? So I was so excited when we got to meet a few weeks ago to find out what she's been up to and what's next in her doula career. So, after talking to her, I learned that her business is still doing very well. However, there have been some changes in her personal life and also some challenges in her doula career that are causing her to pivot, right? And so I am going to be able to walk alongside her as a coach and as an accountability partner throughout this pivot. So we are going to build something really exciting in real time, and I'm going to take you guys along with me. I'm scared excited. I'm like so scared, but I'm so excited at the same time because we are building this live. We don't know how it's going to turn out, what's going to happen, but I do feel like we'll be able to together get some really valuable lessons and some insights about this thing that is very popular that I feel like a lot of doulas are curious about or want to get into and don't know where to start. So let's talk about it. So, my friend Elle is basically at a point now where her corporate career has always been super, super flexible and allowed for her to do traditional in person doula work, which has been absolutely dope. But she got a promotion, yay, yay, yay. My girl is climbing up the ladder. And so she doesn't have the time and the flexibility that she used to have in her old role. So her doula career does have to now change. The other thing in her personal life that happened that's super exciting is that she is a grandmother again, right? So now she has two grandchildren. They are younger and they live a couple hundred miles away from us. And so she's constantly traveling back and forth. Now, we all know if you're a traditional doula, you have to be in the area and you're on call a lot. So traveling back and forth in and out of the service area can be tough. Finding reliable backup doulas who are as passionate, dedicated, committed, and available as you are can also be tough, right? So that's the one side of the reason for the pivot. The other side is some things in the doula community and in actually working as a doula that can be tough, right? As I already mentioned, in the doula community, it can be tough to find a reliable, knowledgeable backup who is really aligned with you, who your clients align with, right? Who has consistent availability. So that can be tough in the doula community. Serving as a doula can also be tough because of the unknown amount of time that you end up showing up for a client, right? So we talked about that too. How you get called into a birth for a client, you show up to the birth. You could be there for 2 hours, you could be there for 2 days, like you just don't know. And so that's making it really tough to serve in a new career position, right? To show up more for a family who is in town and out of town. So that's a little bit tough and challenging in the doula career. And so it's a little bit of a thing that you can't really control, you can't really change. Of course, you can make some adjustments to your contract and the way that you support clients as far as like putting hours, also calling in a backup if you have a reliable one once you serve for a certain amount of hours. But at the end of the day, birth takes as long as it takes and it's nothing you can do about it, right? So, because of those reasons, my friend wants to try to launch a virtual doula business. Now, pause. I know what y'all thinking, like virtual doula work. I know it can be very taboo of a subject, especially in the doula community. It seems like you're either team in person doula work or team virtual doula work, and the two do not cross. But it is something that we brought up as an idea for how she could potentially still stay connected to her calling, stay connected to her passion for helping and supporting families, while also letting go of the tough road that she has to go if she wants to continue to do in-person birth doula support. One, she would have to take even less clients, which means she would make even less impact, even less money. And it will also be a fact of having to hold back on seeing her out of town grandchildren, right? So spending less time with her family for the moment, which could be tough to sacrifice that. And it would be unfair to her clients to constantly be in and out of town and not have a reliable backup. So virtual doula work did seem like it would be something that would be, I don't know, feasible, I guess, for solving this challenge. However, I did want to give her the opportunity to think through, like, what does that mean? Because becoming a virtual doula does mean that you have to launch an online business, right? It's a little bit different than it would be in person. So, what about the website would have to change? What about her contracts would have to change? What services would she really offer? How long and how much time and energy and effort does she really have to dedicate to launching this other piece of her business and also to really serving clients while all the other things are happening in her personal life, y'all? So we decided to brainstorm some other things that she could potentially do online as a coach or consultant, just to make sure that doing doula work still felt right and it felt like it's where she should be right now. So I recommended that she read this book by Amy Porterfield called 2 Weeks Notice. It's a fantastic book that gives you a playbook for how to leave your corporate job in order to start an online business. I also suggested that she think through, like, what other offers and hobbies and interests could she potentially bring outside of doula work, because maybe this is a season where she takes a pause, right, from doula work if she really feels like virtual doula work is not aligned. She loves traditional doula work and wants to stay in traditional doula work, right? So let's think about it. Let's take some time. Let's think about that. Let's also do some research, because I feel like part of the resistance that we always have when we're doing something new is the question that automatically pops up: will people purchase this? Will people buy this? Do people want this? Right? Now, since we're post pandemic, I think that the rise of virtual doula work has been wild and ridiculous. Like, virtual doulas are popping up everywhere. And I could not believe what a beautiful thing popped out of such a thing that was inconvenient, right? Not being able to be a traditional doula with your client in the hospital was so inconvenient. But I felt like virtual doula work was such a smart solution and a continued option for so many people who, one, don't want to have an in-person doula, right? Would prefer it to just be family and friends and nobody who's a quote unquote stranger. Two, people who don't have access to doulas in their area, right? Maybe it's just not enough doulas or no doulas if you live in a rural area. So having access to virtual doula support could hands down be an excellent option. I also think, though, that we have to allow our minds and our hearts to, like, catch up with each other, right? So we know in our hearts that we can't serve because these beautiful things have happened in our life, in the case of my friend and mentee L. But sometimes in our mind, it takes our mind a little while to realize, like, is this the best solution and the best option to move forward, and could I see myself doing it? So for that reason, we found a few virtual doula websites so we could see, are people still offering virtual doula work? What exactly are they offering? If they have any information around what the services entail, how long they end up supporting people, so we can really get a good idea of what's possible and start to dream up what's possible for her new phase of her doula career. So that's the pre-work so far. I also had her think through what would be her dream lifestyle. I know for me, I made the big mistake of creating a doula business and not keeping in mind how I wanted to show up in my life. And so it was very hard to grow my doula business because I felt like I was sacrificing more and more of my life in order to grow my doula business. And it didn't feel aligned. I felt really, really like just all over the place, right? And like I couldn't find a good rhythm between my personal life and my doula career when I was a solo doula. And so I want Elle to think about this in advance. It's okay to build a business around the type of life that you want to lead and to be mindful of that life. It's okay to not have to sacrifice every little thing, right, in order to be a doula. We're sacrificing time with our family, sacrificing time for ourselves, sacrificing time with our partner, our career, whatever that means. You can absolutely weave in your calling and your purpose for being a doula into your life. What does that look like? What would that entail? What would you want to hold on to? And what is it that you would want doula work to look like if you were to complement it to the lifestyle of your dreams? So, thinking through her dream lifestyle, thinking through her goals for the next 3 to 5 years. Elle is thinking through things like retirement, where she wants to go in her corporate career, right? Her family. And so just getting the opportunity to make goals that are personal and career and also business, and making sure that those things marry and don't compete with each other. So that way when she's pursuing it, she can do it with an open heart and open mind. So those are the things that we're thinking through. Let me know in the comments if you have ever thought about becoming a virtual doula, if you are interested to see what happens next if we end up launching this virtual doula practice together, with me as her coach and her accountability partner, and also just somebody who's a friend who really wants to see her succeed. I'm so excited for her, whatever she chooses to do next. I will definitely let you guys know in the next episode what the next piece of pre-work will be and what the next step is that we will take together. Thank you guys so much for watching.